in the Moodie simply because they're near me. I'm with my hosts and everything, and it's all right. And hi. Yeah, you can talk now, Ms. Bass. Sorry, I just felt
I was
the
too
need.
busy listening to your singing and being thoroughly enthralled. She's in the mood. Anyway, yes, we're here. It's one of those times. It's one of those days. The day ends in Y, but more importantly, there's a Frida in front of it, which means it's Friday, and it's time for Cosmotronic. No, I don't know where that came from either. It just got made up on the spot, but there we go. We are here. And of course, we have the whole crew with us, which is a nice event indeed. We have a Gazimoff.
Bueno.
Bueno, says Gazimoff. We have a Kaeyi.
Hello.
And last, but by no means least, we have a Pseudo.
Babushka.
It seems to be a strange word night today. If the channel would like to just take it in turns to type strange words into chat, that'll be fine. So, while we're all coming up with strange words, what is it that we're going to be running through tonight? Well, the show title is Are You in the Moodie? Of course, we're going to have a fair bit of news to share, and we're going to go into a few other bits and bobs. But, Pseudo, do you want to walk us through what we have coming up next?
Oh, gosh, yes. Well, last week I beatboxed Gazimoff's news entry for Cosmotronic, and tonight Kaeyi is going to be beatboxing the news entry for Gazimoff. So that is going to be something I'm really looking forward to. The best part is she had no clue she was going to do this. Yes, you get some time. Don't worry, I won't just make you do it right now. You'll get a little bit of time. But yes, in tonight's show we have a lot of things to cover. As we know, we've got some pre-order stuff. We've got some patch notes available. There's a whole bunch of things. But the one thing I want to stress to everybody tonight, if you have a question you want us to tackle, I don't care if it's the simplest question or the most convoluted question you can come up with.
Could I please request the question is related to WildStar or
Yes,
gaming?
of course,
just
obviously.
saying.
Obviously, you want to have it related to WildStar, and my suggestion is preface it with a Q and a colon. Gwent, who is our current moderator for tonight's show, will capture all your questions and throw them into our notes so that we make certain we tackle them. But yeah, so we've got quite a bit coming, but mostly we want to make certain we're hitting the questions you guys have. It's not just a show to hear us tell you the news, because most people who are following Cosmotronic are following WildStar like rabid dogs, sink your teeth in and so you kind of know. But what we want to do is make certain that we tackle questions that you have. So bring them. So does this mean we get to do the Kaeyi beatbox now and go into the news segment?
I guess so.
How did you do your beatbox?
My beatbox was boom, pew pew
What does the lop say?
Exactly. So it's your turn to come up with something for Gazimoff's news.
Oh no.
You should feel suitably honoured, Gazzy.
I can just do like over to Gazzy.
How can you follow that?
Oh, you can't really. I should just give up now. Do you remember that scene from Men in Black where you've got the alien that speaks in beatbox? So yes, it's felt a little bit like that with the two of you conversing there. There we go. So yes, it has been an action-packed week of WildStar news. The big news, of course, is that the pre-orders are now available. You can put your money where your mouth is and go straight ahead, pick up a copy of WildStar or pre-order a copy of WildStar and get a load of bonuses. Now, we talked about the bonuses last week. If you've pre-ordered, then WildStar is now actually open for you to play as the first pre-order beta. That started about 3-4 hours ago, I think it was.
And we're all stuck here doing a show.
Well, see,
What's going on?
I want to thank you guys for taking time from playing, but I also want to thank everyone who has shown up, who is either listening to us while they're actually playing the game or actually enjoying watching our show. Thank you, because I understand how frustrating it can be when you have access, and yet at the same time, you really want to watch something.
I did hint at it earlier. I was like, we're still doing a show when beta's starting? And I was waiting for Pseudo to be like, oh yeah, beta's starting, no show. And I was like, we're still doing a show.
Pseudo is still cracking the whip in the background. Oh no. Oh no. But yes.
So yes, pre-orders are now available. You can get them from pretty much every single games retailer. One of the interesting things though to bear in mind is that different retailers are doing different promotions with their pre-orders. So for example, throughout Europe, if you pre-order one of the deluxe editions, chances are you'll be able to snag a steelbook version as well. Obviously, if you're not in Europe, then you might want to find a European who's prepared to pre-order it for you and then ship it to you once the game actually comes out. But there are also other things that we've heard on the grapevine as well. So, for example, Sweden are offering a Chewer mouse mat with their pre-orders. Yeah, I know. So, luckily, I have a relative.
Are you migrating to Sweden now?
No, but my
That'd make
sister
a
lives
great
in Sweden,
dartboard,
so...
wouldn't it?
It would. Or I could use it as a doormat, wipe feet on when you come in.
Well, see, I was just going to use it as a pot holder for all of those horribly hot pots. I do also want to, I do kind of want to stress though, please keep in mind, folks who are outside of Europe, if you guys do end up ordering the steel box, the key you get will be for EU. And that needs to be stressed. And this is something else that we want to make certain is very clear. There has been a lot of, I guess the phrase is confusion because of the way that the region thing has been split down. You have the European and you have the North American servers, or I should say the Americans and things because of how they function. But the clarification came through customer services to one of my guildies today, and I want to make certain that I tell you guys what was told to them. And what the customer service had said to them about the pre-order was, you don't need an EU NCSoft account. What you need is an EU WildStar key. And you can get that from EU vendors, which, as Gazzy says, find somebody who who is willing to, help you get the game, etc. If you are in Europe, however, and you want to play in America, you don't need an American NCSoft account. What you need is an American key, which you get from American vendors. So again, work with your communities, work with your friends to make these things a possibility. But you must be aware where you buy it from will impact the regions you are able to play when the game comes out.
Yep. So if you do go searching for that elusive steel box and you're in the US, that's all well and good. But if you want to play with your US friends, you're still going to need a US key.
Yep, that's it.
Poor Gazzy. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Bless
Yeah,
you.
Sorry, I keep, just so people know, I keep turning around because my cat is ill and I'm watching her. So I'm like, what are you doing?
So yeah, not only am I missing beta, I'm also ill. I mean, I could be not just playing WildStar, I could be playing Infamous Second Son as well. But no, I'm here
The
doing the
pinnacle
show.
of commitment.
Exactly, that dedication.
Now
for
I
you.
feel bad. I just want to bring
Good.
I just want to bring love, peace, joy, and WildStar news to our fans. And yeah.
Can we add dynamite to that, where chewers are involved? Love,
Yes.
peace, dynamite, phasers, big cyber swords.
You are all about sharing dynamite and phasers.
Absolutely.
So,
Must be said.
apart from the pre-order news, last week was also PvP week as well. Now, while we had Carnage galore, which we did touch on a bit last week, there was also one other thing that happened which didn't actually come out until later on this week. And that was, we actually had a bit of a PvP battle royale. The European and US journalists faced off against each other in Walatiki Temple in a best-of-3 match. And both myself and Lewis, who's Persistent Worlds, he's from 10 Ton Hammer, we're both Brits, and we both got co-opted onto the US team.
That's so cheating.
No. You know what it is? It's average for a Chewa. You don't expect Chewas to play by the rules. So,
Well, so we were both on the US team. The US team was still a man down, and we won. So
you're not supposed to reveal the fact that you won when I just linked the article for everybody to go read. Seriously, if you have not had a chance to read this article, read it and share it, because I love Gazimoff's writing. I just do. I literally look up to him for his writing. But the way he phrases and the things that he gets, Jin to talk about and the things that he explains, it opens up a whole new dimension to WildStar. And you don't want to miss out on it. So go read. Read. Both pages.
Well,
There's more than one page.
I'm sorry. I am sorry for the spoiler, but to be fair, I did want to do a little bit of gloating today because.
How
we
can you
were-
possibly
You're
gloat though
allowed.
when you played for the wrong side?
Because I
You
was
should
playing
be
on a
hanging your head in shame.
well, the Europeans were playing Exiles, and
Of
being
course,
Dominion.
sensible Europeans.
Being Dominion, I was on the right side because therefore we won.
No. See,
But,
this
uh,
is.
I can only put it down to more members of the MMO Buff crew not being there.
I don't even want to have you go there, Mizpah, because we still have a PvP match that we're supposed to be doing. However,
Oh,
what
God.
I do also want to point out is, disclaimer guy, you know who I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm talking about you, Mr. Disclaimer guy, who does the disclaimers for all of the wonderful dev speaks. How dare you put down the exiles? How dare you? I've said my piece. We can continue.
You have been told.
He is a man after my own heart. What can I say?
Does your heart
PvP
happen to
was
be a
not
chew a
fun
heart
time.
onside a platter that's been basted and roasted for the rest of us to eat?
I don't like offal.
Fair enough.
So, apart from that, yes, I did get a chance to interview Jen Gordy and Kevin Lee. Kevin is the battleground and arena feature designer, so he does a lot of map layouts and game mode layouts. We talked a lot about the way that battlegrounds and PvP have evolved through beta, but there was also a really interesting twist right at the end where I managed to tease out what's going to be happening post-launch. So after June the 3rd, when the game comes out, it's a little bit of a hint about the direction they'll be going. So definitely make sure you grab that article because there's a few sneak hints in there.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, we've got a fantastic article on MMOBuff about it's called The Hitchhiker's Guide to WildStar, and it's a great
Yes.
intro. So, Pseudo, do you want to go into a bit more detail on this one?
Yes. Mizpah apparently is not the only individual in the world who gets lost in a game.
It's quite a normal thing to do, is it not?
Mm-mm.
Only if you're Mizpah.
Well, apparently not only Mizpah. We have someone who contacted me and said, I have something that I think everyone would really enjoy. And he showed me and I went, oh, yes. Basically, what happens is WildStar, the universe of Nexus, Farside, all the different things are so massive. And you rely a lot on settlers building those taxi stations and random locations for you to go places. And it's not like World of Warcraft where you have a major city for every single race. This is a different type of game. He has literally built a diagram to let you know where to go if you want to go to a very specific part of the world. So you may have
is
to
the
go
diagram
from... go ahead.
Is the diagram going to allow me to get less lost?
No,
Yes.
because you will get lost no matter what is going. You could have a map in front of your face, Mizpah, and you will still get lost because a mountain is in your way. It shouldn't be there. But
I'm not looking forward to my one level with Mizpah that I have to do.
everyone has to. I just recommend take the Arc ship. Take the Arc ship level. You'll be fine.
I'll take level 1 to 2.
Exactly. But yes, this has many bits of information in it. There is at the bottom an actual huge diagram, and if you click on it, you can make it bigger and bigger as you want. But it shows some dungeon locations. It shows adventure locations. It tells you what level you need to be for certain adventures and things like that. And it's a brilliantly done diagram. Use it, spread it, love it. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's your don't forget your towel. Don't forget your towel and don't panic. But it's your Hitchhiker's Guide to Nexus and WildStar.
Yep.
Yes.
So, apart from that, there are going to be a few more bits of PvP news coming out during the rest of the week and the rest of the month. So, March the 25th, there's going to be an Arenas deep dive appearing on WildStar Online. On March the 26th, Reddit's going to be hosting a PvP Ask Me Anything. On March the 27th, they're going to be doing a Halls of the Bloodsworn Battleground deep dive. And on March the 29th, there will be a PvP live stream on Twitch. So hopefully we'll be able to see Chad Pappy Moore get pummeled into the ground even more.
Leave
And
him
for those of
alone.
you,
Team Pappy.
who are going to be at PAX coming up in the not too distant future, they're actually running a Duel a Dev event, and I believe it's at 4 p.m. every day. So anyone there who wants to go and disembowel Pappy personally, will have the opportunity to.
You know
Bring
what?
me back a rouse hour.
Show's
I'll let
over.
you kill me over and over again.
Show is over. We're done. Stop making fun of Pappy. I'm gonna just end the show right now. No.
Yeah, the rouse hours as well. So
Send us rouse hours and we'll stand in PvP and you can repeatedly kill all MMOBuff show hosts over
What?
and over.
Why are you
The roused
sacrificing
hours.
us for you?
I shall bring back the roused hours. Don't fret.
Wow. That's a classic, like, hairband 80s rock thing.
I want one. I have every bit of MMO swag possible. I need a roused hour.
Are you going to get the mouse then from Sweden?
that's
Mouse mat?
Matt.
The mouse. I've got the mouse mat, I
But-
think, already.
There's laws about importing by some other countries. I'm quite sure about that.
Is it this one? Sorry, I'm
No,
just interrupting the show
No.
with swag. It's important.
no,
This one.
no,
No.
no.
Well, I have this mouse mat.
Now we know.
Now, something else that might have caused people to panic, those of you who are regular forum goers, you may have noticed a few changes. And one of them might be, where have all the posts gone? And, well, a few things have picked up over there. They've turned things around and said, okay, let's let people see what's going on in the forums. They've done a bit of a wipe, they've rechanged the structure, they've set them up, and I believe now that anyone can read, but if you're active in the beta, you get to post.
Woo!
And I also believe they're taking a number of the stalwart threads of old, the ones that have been considered especially useful, and they're going to be updating them and just putting them back into various places. Some people have commented and said, well, why the wipe? Why so much forum information that's gone? But of course, a lot of that information is about the game in its different states and stages. And if someone comes into open beta now and they're not really aware of everything that's gone on for quite a long time now, they could read posts and misconstrue the fact that this data is no longer current, etc., etc. So I think for me, doing a forum wipe is sensible. But what do you guys think? Gazzy?
So only the useful posts remain. Nothing you posted in there. I think it's a fantastic move. I think it was sorely needed. The forums were getting very, very cluttered, and I think that it's a fresh start with a load of new faces and a load of new people. I think that the biggest cry now is people desperately seeking UI 2.0, which we're told is going to be arriving in April. So yes, apart from that, I think it's a fantastic move.
Fair enough. Not just the forums, of course, have changed. The website's changed.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of it, Pseudo?
Now, see, I was going to throw in, you say new faces onto the forum post. I just want to point out they're not letting us upload avatars until launch.
Yes.
So what faces are you talking about? But besides that fact, the website design, might I add, I take my hat off. Absolutely beautiful. I have one problem with it. Ugh. It doesn't work well on a mobile device at all. Mm-mm.
Hopefully that bit's
And
coming.
I hope it gets sorted, but you know, it's beautiful. It's clean. It is Gazimoff's turn because he said, "Oh."
Just to quickly butt in, the forums work fantastically on a mobile.
So the forums
Nothing
work,
else.
but you
Nothing
know,
else.
the thing is, I kind of get it. You have to do things in an iterative manner, but at the same time, I just, it's one of those. I'm not even gonna bother with this. Screw it. So yeah.
And what else have happened? Of course, we've had the new dev speak, something else that has emerged. What do you think of it, Kai?
I haven't actually had a chance to watch the beginning one.
Gasp!
I watched the beginning of it, and I was like, Frost. And then I got distracted by work and I forgot. Pretty much how every dev speak goes.
Oh.
It is amusing. It is up to the usual high DevSpeak standards. What I haven't done is I haven't actually yet decoded the disclaimer guy on it. Obviously, you have, Pseudo, from your comments before. Do we want to throw a spoiler out there for what's on that?
I'll let the people who are watching tell us if they want the spoiler, and if they want the spoiler, I'll read the spoiler. But that's all I'm going to say on that. However, we do have a question that came in that I think is worth tackling, because it's sort of a little bit along the lines of what we've been discussing. And it comes from Ninichu. Hi, Ninichu. Who asks, do you think that the region locking, I understand there are ways around that aren't too difficult, is a negative against WildStar? I know that plenty of people are upset about the fact that they're not allowing players to play on both EU and NA servers. We did tackle this a little bit last week, but we do have a fresh face, Kaeyi, here. So it might be fun to put her on the spot and ask her thoughts on the region split.
Do you want me to go?
Yep.
Yeah, so I actually personally think region splits are a good thing. I think it means that people don't have to worry too much about what server they're joining, because if you have a game that has every region, Guild Wars 2 for an example, you'll join a server and you might not be active in the forum community, so you don't actually know that this server is the unofficial home of all of the oceanic players, and you like join and you level up solo and you go to look for guild, realize every single guild is like Australian, and you're like, oh well, I didn't realize, I didn't look at the forums. And I think having something like that just stops people getting on servers that they'll either not enjoy because people aren't on their time zone, or servers that are just predominantly empty the majority of the time. So I think that's good for that. It also means people can focus on playing with people that will be around with them. I know it's annoying, like I have American friends who I'm not going to be able to play with now, unless of course they do buy an EU version. But yeah, I personally prefer it. WoW, I had no problems with the split regions, and I think it's pretty standard for an MMO. I wouldn't expect anything.
There is some logic, some benefits. There are those edge cases. I know you're in that bracket, Pseudo, people for whom it's going to be a frustration, particularly if we've got to run 2 accounts. But I think for the majority of players, it's a sane solution.
Well, as we discussed in the last episode, and it's something that I want to reiterate, a design choice was made for a reason. It is entirely possible one of the reasons that this particular design choice was made is because of how Cred is going to be handled, how PAX is handled. We're going to handle conventions. Oh, yeah. Now, how Cred is going to be handled.
But you heard it here first, but the WildStar yearly convention, now Pseudo's going to tell you all about it.
I will point out there are some interesting things that are going to be coming up from MMOBuff. We will be doing a WildStar launch event. But I want to be careful because I don't want to schedule anything that is going to impact the actual events that might or might not be coming from Carbine themselves. So do keep in mind, do watch the space, quote unquote, watch this space. Yes.
So something I'm going to throw in, sort of spaces, sort of servers. One thing you'll see on the new forums, of course, is there are some names up for the Realm servers for beta.
Hey,
now,
I didn't see that.
As I understand this to be, these are simply beta servers. I don't know if these names are going to carry over into live servers on this side of the pond or on the other one. I possibly would hope not, because if they do, they'll probably be the super overpopulated ones, because everyone's going to know them and gravitate to them. But one thing did intrigue me, and that is, out of 6 servers, only one of them is marked as PvP. Would anyone else have expected that? We have Nexus, Olysia, Alazar, Cassius, Pergo, which is PvP, and Evindra.
Ooh.
You know,
I think having everyone.
yeah, Gazi, you get to talk.
I think there should be no PvP servers. It shouldn't exist. PvP is horrible and means Kai can't level.
You'll be able to level, young lady.
Aiko ganks me. Aiko watches my stream and comes to kill me whilst I'm streaming.
Maybe the secret is you need to be running around with a whole bunch of people. Hint.
We should set up an ambush, Kai.
Yes, we'll use you as bait.
Yeah.
Why are we revealing our
On launch, it's
PvP
gonna be
tactics
worse.
live on air?
So,
So-
let's explore this. What percentage of players want to PvP? Does
None.
1/6 represent the player base?
I think
Don't
that
think
I think that if it's great having PvP running during the beta, as we discovered from just having PvP week, there were a lot of bugs that came out, which were some of them quite amusing and quite interesting. Things like the Chewer guards would attack anyone on sight. But they also want to try and find all of the sneaky gank spots and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Partly to make sure that everything is reasonably fair and above board, but also to try and make sure that they capture most of the exploits before the game actually launches. So I think running a PvP server is absolutely fine. The only thing that's been a kind of contentious issue is, or in fact, there's two contentious issues. If you roll a character on a PvP server, you can't have two characters of opposing factions on a PvP server. You've got to pick whether you're going to be Dominion or Exiles. You can't do both. The second thing is after you die from a PvP related death, when you res, you get 30 seconds of unflagged status. Now that can mean that you can then leg it and run away when you respawn, but also it means that if you turn around and attack your aggressor, who might be graveyard camping you, you immediately get flagged again. Some people are saying, well, it's unfair that they can get up and res and use that 30 seconds to run off. But apart from that, I think there's pros and cons there.
Let's tackle those two. Let's take the first one.
Mhm.
Let's go. Pseudo, your thoughts?
Which first one are you particularly wanting me to tackle here? Because there's many thoughts. Just pick one. I'll handle it.
So we've got two different things that we're just exploring here. One of which, of course, is you get so many seconds of immunity. You can use that well, or you can use that badly.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one, which I've now got a mental block on after bringing it up. Go for it, Gazzy.
The first one was being able to roll two characters of opposing factions on the same PvP server. You cannot do that at the moment.
Well, you couldn't do that in
blocked.
WoW either. I remember specifically
Exactly.
rolling on a PvP server, and I couldn't have the opposite faction. And there's kind of a reason for it, I think.
Yeah.
Very much.
You think?
I mean, we in WoW had a scenario where people had a second account simply to log in to work out what was going on with the other faction. Very few people will take it that far. So therefore, having that lock, of course, limits that, and you do kind of want to be a little bit secret chewer, I guess, as opposed to secret squirrel if you're, planning stuff. Degrees of separation, probably a good thing. You got to balance that, of course, with people not being able to say, I want to see the content on this realm from the other side of the fence. To me, it's not unfair. Kai, your thoughts?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's just, especially with open world PvP and WildStar definitely wanting to have specific areas. I mean, they said that people naturally seem to congregate to White Veil. I think if you know that, and then you can just log in on your, your exile character, see who's in White Veil, then log in your Dominion, go and kill them. That's just you should be dedicated to one or the other, and you shouldn't be able to get that unfair advantage because you've managed to level up 2 level 50
Well,
characters.
remember, you have enemy
Dominion
lists.
losing, so.
You have enemy lists now, which means that you will be able to not fully track. And this is something that we slightly tackled a long time ago. But you have the ability to put into your social list, not just your friends, but your nemesis. And it actually allows you to track them. Kind of. I haven't actually put that into a factor test to see if it's as bad as someone might think, but you might know that they're going to be in White Veil or what have you. You can actually track the opposite faction by putting them on your nemesis list. And that means if you see them in PvP,
straight for
now
them.
the thing is, in the adventure, or not in the arena dev speak, one of the things that I found interesting was Pappy was standing there, or not Pappy, but Frost was standing there, and Pappy ran behind him, and he had an icon over his head. is that automatically applied to your enemies?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
you now literally have a visual cue automatically applied to your enemies that you put on your enemy list, and all you have to do is run around, find them, not like, the zones are small or anything. And kill 'em.
I already want a mod that turns it into a target, please. One of those sort of circular target symbols.
Well, you could probably ask Packet Dancer to do that for you. But,
Do that. I could possibly even knock one of those up myself. We shall see.
Yes.
but yeah, I think that the whole Nemesis approach is going to be quite interesting. I think it's going to be more relevant to PvP servers than PvE, though.
It also could be relevant just from a get out of dodge perspective. If you've got this person who always griefs you, kills you, causes issues, actually you can use it.
For me,
So if you've got these chewer that grief you, kill you, cause you issues. Apart from the fact chewer can't cause problems, we all know this, but for the sake of example, it could just be that, whoa, Fred's about, let me get out of here.
Poor Fred.
I'm putting Ico on my list. He always ganks me. Always.
We could of course have set an MMOBuff quest for people to find and kill Ico. Just saying.
Well,
Put a
he
bounty
is
on his
our
head.
WildStar use reporter. I think this is a very good thing, and I think we should officially do it. He is very heavy into PvP. So, yeah, officially at this current moment in time, MMOBuff is putting a find Ico, kill him once, don't grief, but kill him once and just send him a message that says MMOBuff loves them. And
I'll give you 10 gold.
I'd like a report in the channel.
That's the quest reward. There has to
Gotta
be a
quest reward. So we'd like a report in the channel during the show, please, should anyone actually manage to find Ico. And if Ico's not listening, well, that's just Ico going to get surprised shortly.
That's if he's playing.
Okay. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have to look at? Of course, they've made a few more changes with regards to the patch notes.
Yes.
And the hoverboard camera of doom has now been fixed, I believe.
Yes, it has. So there's been a number of different fixes that have crept in on the patch notes. The hoverboard camera has been sorted out. The animated textures have been improved. So Chewer eyes now actually move around when they were kind of rigidly stuck in place for one patch week. But the I think by far the most interesting one is that when we said right back at the beginning that performance is going to be poor and it's going to take a while for things to start getting optimized. Well, those optimizations have started to happen and performance is starting to creep up. I was on my housing plot earlier today and I was getting 120 frames a second. I was in the middle of Ilium and I was getting 50 frames a second. I was out in Farside and I was getting 70 frames a second. It was like, this is unheard of.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
Optimization.
So, yeah. And this is not the end of the road either. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be getting even better as we go through. So yeah, all of us who've been kind of fighting and 20 frames a second, 16 frames a second, yeah.
It's very tricky. I went into I have quite a high res on my screen, and I'm only rocking a 580 at the moment, and I'm playing in 2560 by 1440 pixels, and I found myself in a battleground with 4 FPS. Suffice to say, I did not top the tables in that particular battleground. Restarted machines, set view distance, made a few other tweaks. We're back to a playable level again. But I made the mistake of jumping in with everything set to I'm taking pretty pictures mode. Didn't work very well.
Someone's mentioning that apparently I play on a state-of-the-art Cray. Not quite. The spec of my machine is a Intel Core i5 2500K with 8 gigabytes of RAM and a NVIDIA GTX 780.
It's that GTX that does it. Yeah, it's
well,
the rest of your PC can be crap, but your video card is, it's all shiny. Because I remember on a Cosmotronic show a couple weeks ago, someone taking the time to lift a box and reveal Their new
Yeah,
video
who wants
card.
that? Who keeps
Who
showing
could
off that stuff?
possibly do something like
Ooh.
that?
We'll just wait until we've got the new MMOBuff studio rig built. It's another project which will be coming out in the near future.
I am planning to
Should be
build.
shiny.
I am planning to build a new PC shortly. I will be.
A mini.
Yes, I'm shifting down to Mini ITX. I'm doing a new build to try and make a WildStar gaming rig that's going to be as small as humanly possible, and I will be documenting the build process as I go. So look out for that. because
Chewer
it will be
PC.
Yeah, it's going to be
Is
Chewer
it going to be
size.
Chewer themed?
No, it's not. It's going
Could-
to be black and red. It's called Angry Caretaker.
Now, see, this is not. See, I was hoping you would make it slightly pig and ish type of a thing, so you could have a Q-pig. Cube pig? Come on, they're in WildStar. You killed them. They're pigs. They're QB.
That would
Q-pigs.
actually be an awesome case design, it must be said. I could see
Q-pigs.
potential there.
But I will accept the angry caretaker because the angry caretaker is okay, and that's part of the lore, and you're a Chewer.
Not as good as the good caretaker. He's my favorite.
Yes, but then I'd have to buy green components and.
But
no.
he's also slightly insane. A little bit of lore for people who don't get enough lore in this particular case. I firmly believe that while people think that the green caretaker is the good, kind, benevolent one, that's actually the sociopath. And then you have the red one who just expresses himself because that's the way he feels. And I actually think the green one is evil. Just saying.
I'd still rather go to a midnight sushi eating event with the green one rather than the red one.
I don't know.
Yes.
I think it would be hysterical because I could totally see him like whizzing around with all these blades and everything and fish flying that way and fish flying that way, smacking somebody in the face with a bit of raw fish.
Yes, but I'd be rather
So how he
concerned
like
that
glitches out freaks me out. How he's like, "Ah!" I'm like, "Ugh."
I'd be
I'm
rather
not sure I can
concerned he'd
handle-
come up with a Mizpah roll as opposed to anything else, but that's another topic.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can handle the caretaker being a teppanyaki chef. He's like, no.
Yeah, no.
Well, speaking
What is
of
this? Californian chewer.
Speaking of, the caretaker and things like that, I just want to take a quick moment and remind people these are our in-game personalities. You have Mizpah, Protostar employee. You have Pseudo, the Lop. You have Gaz, the Tricky, who is Gazimoff in-game. And then you have a beautiful picture of KaeyiDream Star, an NPC that you can find in-game. And I just wanted to remind people, when you see them, love them.
Ah,
And
that's what you meant
go.
by my personality.
yes. So yes,
I
there
didn't
you
ask. She said to me before, she's like, "I'm going to reveal to everybody who you really are," and I was like, "What? My deep dark secret?"
What you guys don't know about Kai is she may be bubbly and everything, but the reality is she is a Chua killer.
Yep, and a very good thing that
Cheers
is too.
Full time.
But yes. So pulling back to some of the more, I guess you could say, analytical discussions that we tend to have on this show. I have a question for you guys involving everything that's coming up with the betas. We know that the schedule for beta has changed drastically. It's no longer the 24/7, technically not 24/7 because they took it down for like 24 hours. But anyway, we've gone from not even every weekend, but once every 2 weeks. Now, do you feel that that particular decision is actually beneficial? Or do you feel that all it's going to do is frustrate people? Especially if they pre-order and they happen to work on that weekend that they're doing the beta. I love the
I
silence.
it's-
It's one of those, I'm
it
not
depends
answering this
from-
question.
Whose perspective you take on the statement beneficial?
Mhm.
They're launching a game here. It's a commercial enterprise. You want it to be around for a long time. And there are a number of different considerations. You've got to consider that we don't want freeloaders Inc. playing the game for 6 weeks and then not rewarding Carbine for their efforts. Doesn't help the developer, publisher, doesn't actually help the game community, doesn't really help anyone really. Let's be honest. Freeloaders Inc. That's not good, and it's kind of culturally happening more and more. So one way to tackle that is to say, okay, let's not let people in any form of open beta totally seat themselves with all that Nexian goodness, so they still want to come back.
There's a
It's
problem with
smart
that,
for a
though.
number of reasons.
It is smart, but there is a problem with that. One of the things that we do stress, and it may not get out there because it depends on how people have found the betas or what have you. But one of the things that we know is that the style of how specific classes play changes drastically when you get certain new abilities to you. And we know that there are some people who are not going to see that. So they may get the wrong impression with the fact that they've put this like level 17 cap. If you haven't been a part of the previous beta, you are stuck at a 17 level cap. You're not going to be able to see the true changes that will impact gameplay, that will impact people's decision makings. Is that wise?
I think that there's two things. There's always two things.
And with you, there is just two thing Gazi. Two-shooter Gazi.
So I think that, first of all, if you've got people who want to dive into the beta, having a level 17 cap means that over the course of the next 4 weeks and then 4 weekends, they can roll multiple 17s and try out other different classes and get a feel for how each of them operates in a way that they actually feel is comfortable. They can also try out both factions and see what they think. I also, however, think that there's a couple of other areas that kind of haven't been touched on. There's this general fear that, well, what happens to endgame content? Will that still be tested? Well, people who are in closed beta who reach 32 will still be able to level up and test endgame content. And Jen Gordy revealed to me that they also have a core testing team who are doing things like war plot testing constantly and so on and so forth, and battleground testing and other stuff on a more open schedule as well. So they're not just limited to those weekends. So that's interesting that they've got a core testing group who are doing that kind of thing. So hopefully it means that when endgame content gets released to the masses, it'll actually be quite highly tuned and finely polished.
We do see a lot of... go for it, Pseudo.
I was going to say, I have to chime in there. This is something that I think proves, yet again, why Carbine is exceptional in their development of WildStar. We talk a lot about what, the devs are listening, blah, blah, blah. It's a marketing campaign, it's a marketing gimmick, but we've seen time and time again that they do listen. If you read the article that was written by Gazi, which we linked earlier on the MMORPG, and you look at things, and then you go to the WildStar's website, and there's a current community article about Walatiki Temple, you will see two very key things. One, and now see, you've got me doing the two thing. One, you will see that they're trying to reveal as much information about something that they've pretty much kept close to their chest. PvP's been not as discussed as all the other PvE elements in the game. But two, you see them talk about, in Walatiki Temple, there was a lot of feedback from the testers. And now there's a new tunnel in Walatiki Temple that has just changed the dynamic of the game. They are listening to the feedback, and they state, our feedbackers said, this wasn't working, this wasn't working, this wasn't working, so these are the changes we made. So you see proof, yet again, that they are listening to the testers. Now, if there's talking about having testers for the war plots and things like that, I expect amazing things, because they do listen. So whatever is happening there, I personally, I want to see a war plot in action. I want to see a war plot dev speak, please. Just saying.
I'm sure there'll be one down the line, but let's just pick up on something that I have to carefully pronounce this. That Snits and Giggle and Suicidal Zebra have both come up with in the chat. Okay. So Snits and Giggle, internal core testers don't find the bugs that actual players find. Right. Well, I'd question, is that the purpose of those particular testing?
I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to say one thing here. When Jen said core testers, she did not say internal core testers. So I would.
You're left for implications.
Exactly. So I would not be surprised if they still have a QA team, which goes through and tests stuff. But I think that the core tester, the implications are, and it was not spoken, it wasn't articulated heavily, but the implications are These are external people who are heavily testing particular
Still that brings
features.
perspective as well as
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. In terms of Walatiki Temple, though, there's, as Pseudo mentioned, the changes that they've made to that battleground really help it an awful lot. You've got much less kind of turtling in the flag room or mask room now. Even though turtling wasn't really a viable tactic because there would still be masks that were spawning in the center, you've got much less focus on those end mask rooms. You've also got less of a snarl in midfield because a mask spawns at each base at the start of the match. So you can then decide, okay, do I want to go swamp midfield or do I want to sneak around the edge and go into the cave and try and poke their defenses and see what happens? So you've got many more options. They've moved some of the speed and assault buffs that were dotted around as well. And they've even done things like tweak the line of sight issues. So normally the whole bowl was this huge open area, so you could really drop telegraphs and pick up a lot of people. Now they've put rocks and boulders in, so you can dive out of line of sight, pick up a buff, and then zoom out the side of the bowl and into the flag room. So there's a lot more options. There's a lot more tactical play, so you can assess, okay, how do I want to approach it? What do I want to do? Okay, I'll take that particular exit. Those are all really good things, and that's just one battleground. But there's also going to be Halls of the Bloodsworn at launch. I believe there's only going to be the 2 at launch, but there was in the PvP dev speak a teaser of a third one, Daggerspine Pass, I think it was. Now, there are going to be more battlegrounds post-launch. I would probably lay odds, and I suspect there will be nothing we've seen before. So,
Says she who does not want PvP servers.
I don't want PvP servers, but I like PvP.
But Kay, you're going to be playing on an RP.
I know, it doesn't mean I like it. I'm playing on it because I like my guild, not because I like PvP servers.
Fair comment.
Oh wow! But yes, you said you also wanted to tackle what Suicidal Zebra said.
And I think this really jumps into the fact there's different types of testing. So Suicidal Zebra said something along the lines of, it's the volume of testers, not necessarily the individual testers, the quality and the experience of people that finds bugs. And I think that's true, but it does also depend on what people are finding. So people that have a particular expertise can be best used for a certain task. Yeah. Yet it stands to reason, if you drop 25,476 people into a quest, I say, can you break it? That's 25,000 and many more chances for someone to find something. And if something only happens, once every 100th time, you want lots of people. You want people trying weird things. Not everyone's going to try and jump up and down on top of the rock to the left of the quest giver on a blue hoverboard, which just happens to spawn a dragon.
Yeah. So
but
I
if
think there's
enough of it.
Yeah. So I think there's also another point on that, which is where it doesn't matter if you're trying to test 2 different things, and the core testing group is not there to find bugs. They're there to polish the game type. So they're there to not say, okay, if you do this and this, it breaks. It's, does this feel good? Is this fun? Does this actually have a purpose to what I'm doing? Does the game type actually engage you, or does it become a kind of rigmarole? Is there any purpose to what you're doing? Those are the kind of things that you need people who are clued up on what they're doing, have lots of experience and stuff like that. And that's not bug fixing, that's making the content actually sing. So,
is that sort of like with the Walatiki masks, the decision to be made where each team starts with 1 was actually more of a test more so than find a bug? It was a game type of development testing there. Yeah. Or I should say content type sort of a thing. Yeah. Sorry, Miss, but I totally cut you off and I really didn't mean to, but go ahead.
No problem at all. But it's really about the fact then these smaller teams of testers have got context for the game. They know what the other elements of the game are like. They can make comparisons from, let's say this battleground to that battleground. And I think you need everything. And of course, as we go through more and more stages and we get into open beta, stuff will emerge. As we get into post-launch, there will be patches and releases and content. So just because 25,000 people haven't yet played Daggerspine doesn't mean there'll never be feedback presented on Daggerspine or tweaks to it in the future. It isn't possible to allow the whole world to test everything all of the time.
Even MMO, you have your major content patches, which WildStar have their own sort of, schedule that they want to stick to, but it's not unheard of for every week during maintenance for there to be a little patch to fine-tune something. And MMO grows, it might only be after launch they realize, a certain class is secretly overpowered because at this one boss fight in this end raid that they realize this. And no, that's something that they will fix. I think people have to realize that nothing can be tested fully. And a lot of people kind of play devil's advocate with it. Like a lot of people that I see actually say, oh, I wish there was more testing on this specific thing. Like they're like level 10. And I'm like, what? Like, you're not testing it, so what's the problem kind of thing? And
that's the thing. I mean, you bring up a really good point, and I think it's worth stressing it. MMO games, even after launch, are iterative in their development and their balancing and everything else that goes with it. And even if WildStar opened their doors and said to everybody, come in and test everything for free, we don't care, just test everything, you will not find everything that is wrong in a game. You will not find the balance problems with everything. In fact, what you're going to do is inundate yourself with so much information that you will have problems data mining down to find the key things that you actually need to be sorted. Because there is a big difference. Well, one second. There's a big difference between saying, I don't like the way Walatiki Temple is run versus I pick up a mask and the mask explodes, killing my teammates. I don't think that's part of the game design. There's, when you sit there, if you don't necessarily like a particular dungeon, so to speak, or a particular adventure, it may not be your cup of tea, but that doesn't mean they need to redesign the entire game just to suit what you think would have been a better adventure. Yeah. And I think people tend to forget that. I think people want their cake. They want to eat it too. They want cherries and everything. But it's like, come on, guys.
It's the same thing with balancing. A lot of people will say, oh, God, this class is so overpowered because this one person ganked me in PvP and I couldn't do anything. And it's like, well, they could be a better skilled player than you. Like, can you replicate this?
Horror.
A lot of people are saying certain classes are overpowered, and until they actually get the facts, they need a lot of people to either say this or have the facts, the numbers, and things like that. It's something that they will look at and observe. Once someone's raised the concern, they will then observe it and get the actual numbers to see. But people seem to think that they'll just say one thing and it will change, and it's like, it's your opinion, it's not fact, it's not everyone's. And I think it takes a while to build up that kind of data knowledge for them to actually make changes.
Is it the phrase something? Go ahead, man.
There's good comments in the chat again from a couple of people. Dross to blood. Bugs are always going to pop up, sure, and they will for the life of the game, and they'll be fixed for the life of the game. But of course, the pre-launch period is a little different to typical. Just let Gazzy sneeze. We'll pause. There we go. Carry on. Powwow Pig, or Powwow Pig, sorry.
Powwow Pig.
We've got a new pig.
Powwow Pig.
Players going to come in, and those perhaps that aren't familiar with the game, they're going to turn up. They've not played before. They play for half a morning and go, where's my stuff? Don't like this, don't like that. They might not even be the target demographic for the game. So should that feedback be taken on? Should new players come in at the last minute and say, put loot at the door of the dungeon? Lots of noise, lots of people say, yes, I'd like loot at the door of the dungeon, please. They're actually going to upset those people that perhaps are the core demographic for this game.
Well, see,
so things have to be taken in balance. Context of who is saying what is really important.
This is the thing. One of the things that we have heard repeatedly from people like Gaffney, who's the executive producer, we've seen it mentioned sometimes in when we have developers talking and things like that. Sometimes what a player needs is not what they want. And sometimes it is incredibly difficult. And this is one of the most difficult parts of design, whether you're making an application game or whatever, is figuring out, do I really want a tire swing or do I want a roller coaster? That glorious picture-y description of what the customer explained, what the analyst saw, I mean,
Yes.
it is so hard to find that balance. I believe that as long as WildStar sticks with their current philosophy that we have understood, which is, yeah, this is not meant to be easy. This is not meant to be push button, get bacon, to quote the Gazimoff. This is meant to be challenging. You are meant to grow. It's a whole new style of play. It's supposed to be fun. May not be fun for everybody, but it's supposed to be fun. And as long as they keep that kind of mentality in mind, I firmly believe that we will see continuing iterative patches that don't degrade the challenges, but either increase them or just bring more challenges our way. As long as they keep that philosophy. And they seem to be doing so, which is why I am such a heavy Team Carbine little girl.
So another comment from the chat, and then we might be getting into a bit of a wrap-up, because there's lots of news about what's coming up next to talk about in just a minute. Snits and Giggle again. Of course, pre-launch, it is vital. Bugs do need to be found. They do need tranches of players running all over them, finding the right sort of bugs. But that's been happening. It's been happening a lot. Beta's been ramping up and up and up for months now.
It's
been
been running for nearly a year.
Yeah, I was going to say, Gazzy's been playing for like a year.
Yeah, I mean, February 2013, I think the first of us were running around in there. So it has been around for a while, guys. So many bugs have been squished. We saw the last patch notes; they were epically huge with bug squishes, and we'll see more of that. You know, there are a couple of builds ahead, as they confirmed on the show last week. But Snits, you're absolutely right. You do need tons of players. They do need to find the bugs. But I'm going to contend that does not mean, from this point to launch, they need 100% server availability for that to happen. I think that would actually be counterproductive for a number of reasons.
And a lot of people are saying, oh, but when I've had many people tweet at me today saying, oh, I logged in and it was super laggy and this bug was happening, I can't change my skills. And I think people forget that they're actually finding these bugs now on the live servers. So the fact that you're in and you're playing and you're reporting these bugs and they're getting fixed, it means that they're not going to happen, fingers crossed, on launch, because they're actually using the live servers now for the pre-order weekend. So it's a good thing that you're actually in and playing. So bear with them, and they turn around these fixes and restart servers pretty quickly. So that's the thing to bear in mind, that it won't replicate, and hopefully that when they're fixed now, it means we all get a better launch experience. So it still is a beta, which Jeremy Gaffney stresses. They have the betas to test. It's still pre-order beta, not pre-order fun time.
I also want to make a comment about what Nucalaro said in our chat, who said, if you make a game too hard, they don't like it. If you make a game too easy, they lose interest. Getting the balance, that's the hard part. And honestly, yeah, it is. I firmly believe, though, that of a lot of the MMOs that I have played, WildStar is one of the closest to walking that balance. Sometimes it veers a little this way, sometimes it veers a little this way, but I've yet to see it go, oh, we need to go this way. Or, oh, we need to go this way. I've yet to see those extremes. They seem to have a median that they have found, and they're trying to keep themselves in it, and I think they're succeeding. So
yeah, now we don't have numbers here, but also for people saying, well, what's this like? A tweet's just gone out from WildStar. Thank you for the heads up, Jareda. From Cougar, every minute we're breaking our previous population record. Pre-order, join the fun. So I think it's time to do a bit of a wrap-up, because I'd like to go and add to that population record.
Yes, and we want to send everyone back into playing games, etc. Someone really wants to hit level 50.
So what do we have coming up? That was today, but we have a lot coming up in the near future. We have quite a few things simply happening on Monday. Do you want to start, Pseudo?
I guess I can do this. First off, thank you guys for taking the time out of your WildStar beta play, as well as other things, to hang out with us. And now we get to give you a little teaser of some stuff that's coming up. You are going to want to go to MMOBuff.TV tomorrow morning, roughly around 9 a.m. I'm not going to explain why. To do so is to ruin the fun. To do so is to ruin the surprise. All I am going to say is, trust me, it's going to be worth it, especially if you like Blizzard. But anyway.
If you like sneezing.
Yes, if you like sneezing. But yes, that is that. Now, next week, our shows are going to be a little awkward. Fun, but awkward. First off, Monday's show, do not have the Mizpah with me. We does not. Instead, I am going to be laying down the foundational roots about DKP for a continuing educational course on loot distribution. However, Mizpah, can you?
Shall I?
Can
we're
you?
past 8 o'clock. I can.
You
Let
can.
me show you something.
Are you sure?
8 o'clock. It's past
Okay.
8 o'clock.
Past 8 o'clock.
Okay. You guys are getting a European first, just for watching. Oh dear. While he's doing that, Gazimoff, would you like to beatbox for us?
No.
Gazzy, always wrong.
A little bit of a topic change here, just for a moment,
Very quick.
because we have a box. And yes, it's a Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls Collector's Edition box, which arrived courtesy of a very friendly postman earlier today. Now, for those of you wanting to know what's in this box, because the official launch is Monday, I believe an article either is up or is going up on the MMOBuff site, so you can take a look inside it.
I seriously believe you don't listen to me when I talk.
I had no headphones on when I went over there.
No, I specifically said we have something special coming up tomorrow on MMOBuff.TV's website. I don't want
thought
to
you were talking
reveal
about
it.
something entirely unique and different, because I'd
No.
already arranged for that to go up at 8 o'clock tonight before I went on the show.
No, my gosh, man.
Okay.
Boy doesn't listen
No
to
one
me, but
told me
that's
that
okay.
had changed.
That's
No one told
fine.
me that had changed.
That's fine. It's all good. I can accept this. But
Domestic,
I was talking
everybody.
about why you're not going to be here on Monday.
Can
Can you talk about that
I
or
was
not?
wondering. Yes, I can.
Okay.
I'm going to be at a
Gosh.
certain launch event for a certain Diablo 3 on Monday, and there should be some content from that to follow a little bit later
Yes.
on down the line.
That's all. That's all I wanted to say. Done. Dusted.
Yep.
Yay. Next, Tuesday's campfire. We have a special guest from Anouk.com. We have Eloa joining us on the campfire, and it is going to be loads of fun. She has a brilliant accent. I absolutely love her voice, but she's also involved heavily in Anouk.com. So if you want to check that out, it's ANOOK.com. Gazimoff and I are there. We have quite a few people. I've seen Ara Wolf on there. But yes, there's a lot of people on there. Check it out. But yes, Aloha should be joining us on Tuesday. I can't wait. Wednesday, Dr. Marsh and I are going to be digging into the Hunter Paladin decks that people are sending in to us to review. But we'll also be looking very deeply at the Hunter thing. If you missed Marsh's rant on the patch notes, you're going to want to go to YouTube and check it out, youtube.com/MMOBuff. He makes some very valid points, but he also shows why Blizzard is doing what they're doing, and it makes a lot of sense. And then next Friday, will you guys complain being here again?
Yeah.
I just don't win. I just simply don't win. Nothing I do will succeed.
Because next week you'll be reminding me that I can't play WildStar, so it'll make me angry
But you can talk about it.
and cry.
It's okay, though. But yes, we'll be back on to Cosmotronic. But Mizpah and I will be in a different location.
Well, are we going to say where? We probably should.
We are. Mizpah and I are going to rest. And we're going to be meeting up with quite a few of the developers there, so expect some interesting content from that. But it means that Friday night, we're probably going to be in a hotel doing Cosmotronic. Well, with quite a few people, if you want to get technical. Quite a few people from the guild are going. But we have... we'll be doing the show from Birmingham. So we'll be doing it from
venue of live show to be announced. But
yes, we're not
all
certain
else
exactly where
fails,
yet,
the
but it is-
hotel.
yeah, if all else fails, it will definitely be the hotel. Kai, are you going to rest?
No.
Gazzy, are you going to rest?
No.
So what'll end up happening is we'll end up having it, but instead of
Me
there
and Gazzy
being 4
hosting.
pictures, it'll be Pseudo and Mizpah on one screen, and then these two on the other. But yes, it'll be the first time that we've done a show sitting side by side, because the last time we tried it, there were troubles.
Means you can punch him when he says stupid things.
Yes, it
So,
does.
so all the time then.
Now, see, this is the thing. I am happy to tease Mizpah, but I will defend him from other people. I get the right to beat the crap out of him. Everyone else has to go through me.
I'm not sure I approve of this, it must be said.
Fine, I won't defend you. I was trying to be nice.
No, I made your right to give me a dead arm on a regular basis. That's the bit I was referring to.
But yes, the only other thing that I want to point out, I got my loot crate. Titanfall! But yes, okay. That's it.
So there we go. So lots happening next week. Going to be all over the show. Even more happening as we then prep for PAX in the near future. But on that note, let's go and add to those population numbers, shall we?
Population numbers. WildStar!
So, time to say the goodbyes. If this isn't already the post show, we'll see where the edit takes it. But, Gazzy.
Yava?
That was apparently Gazzy's goodbye. Gazzy says, Yavel, and disappears in a puff of smoke. Kai says,
I'm sorry, what was that?
And Pseudo says,
Toodle pip.
and Mizpah, as always, says, this is Mizpah for MMOBuff, signing off. Been a pleasure, folks. See you on the next one.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for watching the full episode of Cosmotronic, Are You in the Moodie? If you like what you have seen, if you have any questions you want us to tackle, please leave it in the comments below. Like, favorite, share, all the good stuff that goes with it. If you'd like to see the previous episode, click that big old box up there. And if you would like to start from the beginning, you can click in the bottom left-hand box to see the full playlist. Toodle pip.